If you do not maintain your garden of life, weeds will grow. And today we'll be talking about how to break bad habits in 3 simple steps. Now, why do you want to break bad habits? Well, simply because they're not good for you. Like whether it be smoking, drinking alcohol, participating in things that do not help you become your greatest version. I truly believe that if you don't strive to have great habits, in your daily routine, then bad habits will be default. You will have bad habits by default. It's kind of like having a garden. If you do not take care of your fruits, you do not take care of your veggies, you do not take care of your grass, weeds will automatically grow. If you do not maintain your garden of life, weeds will grow. And here's the thing, weeds don't need sunshine, weeds don't need you to nurture it, weeds don't need anything. They just grow by themselves. But anything that's worth having in life it takes time to nurture. It takes love. It takes passion. It takes care. It takes effort. If you want to grow apples, if you want to grow tomatoes, you want to grow anything that's going to bring life into your world, is going to take care. Now, one thing that I want to bring to your attention is that so many times that we're voting on the economy, we're voting on the government, we're voting on our country to, change our lives. But I think we've forgotten the most important vote of all, and that vote is for us. Like, why aren't you voting for yourself? Why? Like I want you, and this is where habit comes into play. Every time you participate in a good habit, you are voting for your higher self. Every time you participate in a bad habit that's going to deteriorate your meaning and your goals and all that stuff, you are voting for the other person. You're voting for the weakest part of yourself, the lowest version of yourself that's not going to turn your dreams and goals into reality. I want you to really vote for yourself, because every habit you take, every time you participate in a habit, it's either going to vote for the highest version or it's going to vote for the lowest version of yourself. I'm gonna get right into the strategy, get right into the simple 3-step method that I teach, and it's called APE. Okay, that's an acronym. It's an abbreviation, APE. Now, I'll start with the first A, okay? And why do I call it APE? I call it APE is because they have the strength of 10 men. When you're on the pursuit of breaking bad habits and creating new habits that are good for you, I want you to think yourself of having the strength and the willpower of 10 men. So I put it as APE, just, a little info right there. But A, it all starts with A, and A is acknowledge the bad habit that you have. Most of the world, they're on autopilot and they do not know what habit they have. Like they don't even know that it's a problem until you bring it up and they're like, oh wow, I got those symptoms, right? So you really got to acknowledge exactly what you want to break out of. If you don't have acknowledgement, you don't have awareness of what you're trying to break, then what's the point? So first and foremost, if you are feeling and you are conscious of a bad habit that you've been, doing a lot frequently, the first thing you got to do is be aware of it, okay? And look at that bad habit. And then once you have it, we go to the second part, which is P, create a plan of action, all right? You got to have a plan of action, because breaking a bad habit isn't just like butterflies, it's you got to have a plan of action. And they say proper planning prevents poor performance, right? You got to be able to plan exactly what you're going to do and how you're going to do it. And let me tell you something, when you take out a bad habit, you can't just leave that empty space for nothing, because most of the time, if you leave a space, if you take out a bad habit, now you got that empty space. If you don't fill it back up with something good, something great that's going to benefit you, another bad habit will take up its space by default. So for every bad habit that you take out, you got to put in a new habit, okay? Instead of smoking that cigarette in the morning, why don't you just have a glass of water? Obviously, that sounds a lot simpler than it is, but you get the gist I'm trying to display here. So the second thing, like I said, plan of action. Create a plan of action. How are you going to do it? And when we talk about plans for breaking bad habits, I want you guys to do it incrementally. Don't cold turkey all the time. Although sometimes cold turkey does hurt. It depends what kind of bad habit you're trying to break. Some bad habits are harder to break than others, but what my favorite strategy is always by, do it by 1% improvement. Maybe let's just say you're smoking 20 cigarettes a week. Maybe this week you only smoke 15. The next week, 10. The week after that, 5. You bring it down slowly, so that way you don't go through a relapse, whatever it may be. Obviously, I'm just talking about cigarettes, but there's so many other things like skipping out on your gym, skipping out on family time, skipping out on love, taking your girl on a date, things like that, that you take for granted. Just bad habits, or even like bad habits of mental self-doubt, fear, negativity. There's so many ways that can be considered, so many things that can be considered bad habits, but you just gotta acknowledge it first, right? Be aware of it. 2, create a plan of action. And number 3 is real simple. Execute it. A lot of people, they stop at awareness. They just accept it. Or some people might even get to the plan, but they never execute it. Most businesses, is a real fact, most businesses do not start because the owners or whoever has the ideas never take action. So the last part is just execute. You just gotta execute. So once you have the plan of action, you execute. This strategy that I teach, I've taught at workshops all over the world now, and it's a simple method. It's really, really simple. And once you put it all down together, you will realize that with the same method is how you can put on a new habit as well. It's the same thing. You want to put on a new habit. Let's just say you're trying to go to the gym, you're trying to feel healthier, trying to feel sexier for the upcoming summer. So what you do is first you be aware of what habit you're trying to do. Maybe it's going on a walk, maybe it's going for a run, maybe it's going for some weights. Number 2, create a plan of action. What are you gonna do? Are you gonna work out in the morning? Are you gonna work out at night? Are you gonna get a partner, accountability partner? Are you gonna get somebody who's gonna keep you accountable? Yada, yada. You get a plan and you go in, okay? And the third one, execute. You execute that plan. Now, to wrap this all up, I wanna tell you that, like I said, like I was saying earlier, when you have a bad habit, when you take it out, remember to fill it back up with something good. If you do not fill the empty void in the space that you've cleaned the bad habit out from, by default, another negative habit will hop on, unless you fill it with a good one. So just APE, acknowledge the habit you're trying to break, or the habit that you're trying to bring on. And P, remember, you create a plan of action. And once you have the plan of action, 3, you go to execute. You execute and you go in and you make that shit happen, okay? That's all it is. Some habits are harder to break than the others, and some good habits are harder to bring on than others, yada, yada, all that stuff. But at the end of the day, all that matters is that you try. You try and you stop telling yourself the old stories that are holding you back. Stop telling yourself the stories that are just putting negative fear into you, Stop telling yourself the stories on why you can't do it, on why you can't do it now. So make sure you subscribe, like, comment, share. Just want to leave that there. Go out there, crush the world, become a hero, and break your habits.